You're welcome. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings that you have poured out over our community. Help us to never take these blessings for granted and to realize that with privilege comes great responsibility. Please guide us with your wisdom in all of our actions and decisions tonight. I pray for your care and compassion for those affected by the floods in Kentucky and the wildfires in California. Please continue to protect and guard all of our first responders who will answer the call to help. I pray this in Jesus' name.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Here.
Here.
Present.
Kathy Bristol. Here. Jim Olive.
Here.
Chris Massetti.
Here.
Jeremy Wilson.
Here.
All aldermen are present. Tonight we'd like to start off with a presentation to Lyndsay Fox from our fire department. Mr. Abrams.
I think the best thing to do is just read the letter, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Taylorville Fire, no, I'm sorry. On June 14th, 2022, TFD was dispatched a medical call on residents near yours. While en route, we were informed the CPR was in progress. Upon our arrival, TFD firefighter paramedics found yourself administering high-quality CPR to your neighbor. While we don't know how you were alerted to the emergency next door, one thing is certain: you dropped everything you were doing to aid your neighbor in need. Ms. Fox, please accept my gratitude for your quick actions in early CPR, which resulted in the saving of a life. As a nurse, I'm sure you're aware that prompt, high-quality CPR is the first and most important step in the chain of survival. For your actions, you are hereby awarded this Community Hero Award and Challenge Point from the Taylorville Fire Department.
Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations, Lyndsay. Now we'll have the oath of office for new police officer Corey Reynolds.
Mayor, Board Alderman, this is Officer Corey Reynolds. He's a lateral transfer from the Village of Pawnee. He's got some years of experience. He applied last year. He ranked #1 on the lateral list. And we're glad to have him. All his records checked out really well. You know, I'm going to miss him, especially Pawnee. Well, your father-in-law is the mayor. Right. Yeah. So, Julie Maris, Julie Lilly. Both of office. I was just talking about this.
Corey, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that you will will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer according to the best of your ability. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Chief.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Should be fun.
Motion to approve the omnibus vote.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Bryant, second by Alderman Dorsones. Comments or questions? Roll call.
Megan Bryan?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones? Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Teddy? Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes. Motion carries 8-0. Minutes of the public hearing held July 18, 2022. Minutes of the regular meeting held July 18, 2022. Minutes of the ordinance committee meeting held July 21st, 2022. Minutes of the finance committee meeting held July 21st, 2022. Minutes of the public facilities committee meeting held July 28th, 2022. And minutes of the street and sewer committee meeting held July 28th, 2022. Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Alderman Driscoll, second. Second. Alderman Brown, questions or comments? Roll call.
Megan Bryan?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes. Motion carries 8-0. Ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a BDD number 1 redevelopment agreement by and between the city of Taylorville, Illinois, and Taylor May and Lacy May and Star Electric Incorporated. Motion by Alderman Bud, second.
Second.
Alderman Bryant, questions or comments? Roll call.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryan?
Yes.
Mayor Barry?
Yes, motion carries 9-0. Ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a BDD District Number 1 redevelopment agreement by and between the city of Taylorville, Illinois, and John I. McDowell and RID Enterprises Incorporated, doing business as Angelo's Express Incorporated. Motion by Alderman Bud, second.
Second.
Alderman Driscoll, questions or comments? Roll call.
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryan?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes. Mayor Barry votes
Oh,
yes.
I'm sorry.
Motion carries 9-0. Ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a BDD number 1 redevelopment agreement by and between the city of Taylorville, Illinois, and RLK LLC, doing business as Pub 116. Motion by Alderman Bud, second.
Second.
Alderman Bryant, questions or comments? Roll call.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryan?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Mayor Barry?
Yes, motion carries 9-0. Resolution approving the First Amendment to the Solar Power Purchasing Agreement with Renewable Energy Evolution LLC. Motion to approve. Alderman Skoltedi, second. Second, Alderman Dorsones, questions or comments? Roll call.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryan?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve
Yes.
Dorsones? Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to direct the city attorney to prepare for consideration by the ordinance committee an ordinance amending city code 10-6-2A to allow outdoor digital lighted two-sided advertising billboards or signs pertaining to business on and off the property as an added permitted use in an I-1 zoning district. Motion by
going to make the motion with a question.
Motion by Alderman Bud, second. Anybody want to second this? Alderman Ollie, question, Alderman Bud?
I guess my question is this, why didn't
Mr.
this
Mayor,
go to
if I might
ordinance to
help
start
the
with?
council, I can explain that.
Hold on,
motion,
Rocky.
please.
Mr. Bud has a question, maybe Rocky can
Okay.
answer it.
All right, go ahead.
My question is, why didn't this originally go to ordinance to be able to talk of this? Or is this to make a draft so that we can go to ordinance to see what it says?
Correct, and let me explain the reason for that, Mr. Budd. I spoke with the mayor last week. The TDA has entered into a 6-month lease with WC Media that has an option eventually, hopefully culminate into the purchase of one of the tracks out there from TDA. They're wanting to put up it's time essentially right now, because they gotta get a permit from the city, and they have to get a permit from IDOT to go forward. When we looked at the ordinances right now, they're in an I-1 district, which allows any use that's permitted in a C1, C2. When you look at C1, C2, it does permit billboard signs to be put on property, and you have a whole other ordinance that dictates what the size of the sign has to be and so forth. But it's limited to, it can only advertise signs for business on that property. What WC Media intends to do, or wanting to do, and which is backed by TDA, is they want to put up a sign that advertises a number of businesses in our community. Also, they're entering into an agreement with TDA to offer them some free advertising to encourage the marketing of the TDA property out there. In order to allow that to happen, if you're inclined to consider it, is that we have to amend the I-1 district uses, don't affect the integrity of the C1 and C2, but simply allow in an I-1 district a sign that complies with the sign ordinance, but it can also advertise businesses that are not located on that property. Because if we do the ordinance, and it's going to plan commission, public hearing, and so forth, and then they have to apply to it with the state. That's why it was kind of time sensitive, and spoke with the mayor, and we thought that if you didn't mind, I'd go ahead and draft the ordinance. It goes to the ordinance committee, you can decide what you want to do, and if you then come back next council, after that next meeting, probably in September, to recommend that it go to the planning commission and have a public hearing. So that's the reason for it's on there now, and it's an unusual, rather than going directly to the ordinance committee because of the time. They have to go one way or the other if the council's going to allow it, and then once they get that permit, then they have to go to IDOT and prove they got a city permit, and then their 6-month lease ends in November 30th. They have to close on the property. They're going to close it by December 1. That's the reason for asking that this motion be on the agenda tonight. Does that help at all, Mr. Budd?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
So my only problem with that is, if we pay Rocky to go and write up an ordinance and then we decide we're not gonna do it, then we're out money for writing an ordinance.
Correct, but this way, and Rocky asked me to put it on the council, he could write the ordinance, we could talk to the ordinance committee, rather than go to ordinance committee, us pass it at council on September 6th, or whatever that first Tuesday is after Labor Day, and pass him in order to write the ordinance. Then we're a month or two down the line, and we're trying to get this property sold in the industrial park.
I understand that,
I hope everyone, what this pertains to is they're wanting to put a billboard out there, an electronic billboard, just like that, and right now our ordinance only allows billboards on the property that they're advertising on. So that's why we're putting the cart before the horse, but this is trying to get it in a timely fashion. And if we vote no,
Megan,
we vote no.
if it will assist your decision on this, if the ordinance committee does not approve the ordinance that I draft, then I won't charge the city for preparing it. How's that?
That sounds phenomenal, Rocky, thank you.
I hate to please, as you know.
I know you do.
I have every confidence that you will like my ordinance anyway.
Rocky, will it include size stipulations on what's going to be out there so we know
I think
how
very
big
small.
we're talking about?
I think it's already in.
Here's
If
your
you already
original
look at your
drawing,
zoning
no
code,
higher
city
than
code
30
already has
foot,
limitations.
12 by 24.
I didn't intend to
No
change
higher than
those.
30
I
foot,
have
that's
it
what our
right now, and I
ordinance
think it's-
allows
I
right
can't
now.
do
This
it
is a-
30 foot up in the air.
The ordinance already
Mistaken.
states.
I can look it up real quick, but you
No,
have.
We're
the
good,
mayor's-
we're good, Rocky.
The mayor's got it, Rocky, thank you. He has it.
Mr. Olive?
Now, the placement of this, is there any chance in the future that this will, if we get some new, people out there, that this won't be a hazard or something to, not a hazard probably, but block somebody else from having their signs or anything?
That I can't answer because I don't know exactly which lot they're buying and which lot they're putting this on. This is the only thing I have received from them. And,
Surely it's an
stated-
They wouldn't buy a back lot to put a billboard on.
Right.
You know what it is.
No.
Yeah, if I understand the lot they're gonna buy, obviously, it's gonna, the sign is gonna face traffic on Route 29. That's why they have to get it right out permit.
HBO Goodall?
It's the lot closest to Trinity Dodge, up by Trinity is what they're talking about, where they're actually wanting to locate the sign.
So what we're voting on tonight is whether we're gonna allow Rocky to draw up the ordinance and allow digital advertising on property that's not what they're advertising. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Chris Teddy,
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson,
Yes.
Doug Brown,
Yes.
Megan Bryant,
Yes.
Larry Bud,
Yes.
Steve
Yes.
Dorsones, Kathy Driscoll. Yes. Jim Olive.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the ITEP grant application by Benton and Associates in the amount not to exceed $3,500.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Bryant, second. Alderman Brown, questions or comments? Roll call?
Jeremy Wilson.
Yes.
Doug Brown.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Steve Dorsones.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve the special events permit for the 2022 Taylorville High School Homecoming Parade to be held on Wednesday, September 7th, 2022 at 5:30.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Driscoll, second. Alderman Bud, questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Status of completion of requirements under ordinance 3946 concerning West School Investments LLC and any motions relating thereto. Alderman Bryant sent an email to Rocky inquiring about the status, and we have some people here that are involved in that. So, Rocky, would you say what the ordinance says and what we need to do to go forward?
Yes, and I appreciate Megan bringing it to our attention, and when I checked with Julie, and I sent you a detailed email on this last week, but just for the benefit of the public here, in your ordinance that you adopted last March, it was designed to amend the zoning classification to the 8.75 acre tract that we know as West School Investment Homes. It was going to be zoned to a C1 district, but that zoning would only take in effect after certain things were to be completed. Number one of which was that the final plat of the subdivision, the minor subdivision, had to be approved by the Plan and Zone Commission, City Council. And to my understanding, it has not been approved to date. There's been some things that that need to be complied with, and for whatever reason, I don't know, haven't been complied with. And then the second thing, that the city clerk was to receive a recorded warranty deed, a signed warranty deed that conveyed that popular school extension to the city, which would then own it. It's about 0.30 acres, more or less. And that would go into the current parking lot from the West School Investments property. And that the city clerk would receive a $10,000 tower insurance policy that would ensure the city's interest in that extended street. Well, apparently the deed was signed and the plat affidavit was signed. It's been delivered to the city clerk's office, and a title insurance commitment, not a policy yet, has been delivered. But it hasn't been recorded because the other contingencies haven't been met. And that would be the third one, is that there's supposed supposed to be a privacy fence that was to be constructed on the west end of the, what we'll call the Fred Myers property. And that was to be built according to your city code, and which would be ultimately approved by the mayor. Upon his satisfaction, the city code's been complied with. And I asked Andy Goodall to go check with Mr. Kirby, the Kirby's, to see whether or not the privacy fence has been completed. I don't know the answer to that question this evening. And secondly, is where they're at on, in efforts to get the minor subdivision completed. But as it stands right now, that ordinance that you adopted, the property is not rezoned until all three of those contingencies have been met. So that's why I asked that you put on the agenda this evening. Megan, I think, had some inquiry from one of her constituents inquiring about it. And just want to know where you guys want to go with completing the requirements of that ordinance. If Andy's in the city hall there now, I don't know if he's had an opportunity to speak with the Kirbys and what their reaction is or intentions, but that's the purpose of that motion, to bring everybody up to date.
Mr. Goodall has talked to the Kirbys. They're in the audience tonight, along with some other people that live on West Poplar Street, I believe. So, Andy, you've talked, or Mr. Kirby, you guys have talked today?
Yes, I talked to Joe and Bertie, who's in attendance this evening. Their intention is to get that fence done in somewhat of a timely fashion. You know, of course, material availability and stuff may take a little bit of time, but they do intend to do the fence. From what they understood is that they were not going to do the curbs, sidewalks, and gutters on their own. They were going to have whoever bought the parcels do that part of it as part of buying the parcel when they put a building on it. That's what their understanding was, is to when the curbs, gutters, and sidewalks were going to be put in. Is that right, Bernie?
Well, when we left the zoning meeting that night, it was 100% approved that the way we just had it was, we would rezone it the way it was. Somebody complained about the fence, we said we'll put in a fence if necessary. And we could divide so much of it would be for residential. And we sold one we had one tentatively sold for a beauty school, or a beauty shop across from the car wash over there. But then whenever we did, they said, oh no, you've got to have curb and gutters and sidewalks. So, whoa, where did that come in? Well, after the meeting, after the zoning meeting, they came up to the alderman, and then they brought it up, and one of the aldermen said, well, I think we should require curb and gutter and sidewalk. And eventually, however it ended up that evening, they agreed to do that. But at that point, then we had said, no, we will not do that. So we apparently have a little non-agreement there at that point. But we thought we had it that way, and it was all set. And so we're willing to, we gave you the deed, we're willing to have it platted. We will not agree sidewalk and curb and gutter. And I'm not sure that Mr. Byers wants a fence. If he wants a fence, we'll put up a fence. Go ahead.
I would like something that's not, you know, that for their property, it will enhance it. I don't want something like just a chain link fence, because someday that hedge of mine, or honeysuckle, may be gone. So if it's something ugly, that's going to be ugly for both ways, their way and my way. So something, either a fence or a concrete wall with the see-through bricks on the top, something that will enhance their property, as well as if I should take the honeysuckle down, which we've been very good on the two of us. But someday that honeysuckle may come out of there. So coming from the other way, if that fence was ugly, both people would not benefit. But just so it's a fence that's suitable for them and me.
So Rocky, I don't know if you can hear everyone in the audience. Seems to be sort of a disagreement on what we are going to require the Kirbys to do in order for us to take deed of that road. And so, do we need to take this back to committee? Do we need to go to zoning, planning and zoning?
I think that'd be the appropriate thing. In the email that I gave everyone, it came from the city clerk's office, but I have a copy of a letter from Benton Associates, who was addressed a letter to Mr. Goodall that had a number of items that apparently the planning commission was requiring. And I can't read all the notes off to the side, but apparently the curbs and gutters and sidewalks have been the big issue. So I guess it needs to go back to the committee and the Plan and Zone Commission and some decision be made as to those major issues and whether or not the Kirby's will agree to it or not, or whether you guys will decide that curbs and gutters and sidewalks are not required to get the minor subdivision approved, but only as a requirement for when they sell the property. But that's something we don't need to decide tonight, just don't take it back to committee. It's brought before you this evening because Alderman Bryant had questioned it, and it was a good thing she did because it allowed us to go back and find out, this thing has been hanging around for quite some time. There needs to be some finality to it, I believe.
So I can hardly hear you, but are you suggesting it goes to planning and zoning board next?
Yes.
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 Okay. So, any other discussion about this? So I will take that back to planning and zoning. All right. City attorney update.
Okay, there's a couple of things that we've already mentioned here, but I noticed in the ordinance, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I noticed in the ordinance committee, there was some discussion about the number of gaming signs that are throughout the city and whether or not there should be some ordinances enacted to regulate that. As I talked with the mayor today and Andy, you already have ordinances in effect. And I gave us, I think you want to write it down as 3-5-1 requires nothing can be put on any boulevard or city right of way or property. But more importantly, if you look at 3-3-1, 3E, that has a number of regulations that every gaming place can only have one outdoor banner. It can only be, 8 foot tall on a single pole. And you can only have one sign affixed to the exterior of the building where the gaming is located, and I think it's like 24 inches by 14 or something, not a very large sign. That ordinance is already in effect. And I believe in speaking with the mayor today and Mr. Goodall, and I think the suggestion is to send a letter out to all your licensees that have gaming establishments, send them a copy of the ordinance, and ask that they come and comply it within a relatively short period of time. And if they fail to do so, then you folks are able to enforce that ordinance. I don't think you need probably do an injury ordinance. You've already got it. You did that back in 2021. So is there any questions about that?
Okay. Next.
Okay, the other item is that I noticed that you're going to be adopting a motion tonight to get an appraiser for the city parking lot. I just want to remind you in that motion, if you need to say that appraiser has to be either an MAI certified appraiser or an Illinois licensed or certified appraiser for that kind of property in order to allow you to sell. And that's all I have to say. You've been getting a lot of reading material that I've sent to you in the last week or so, so if you can't sleep tonight, you may read it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayoral report. Thank you to the South Fork Dirt Riders and Tailgates and Tall Boys. What a wonderful event for our community. We're working on tearing down 506 North Cottage. Alderman Bud and I and all of them met with the owner. We're trying to get him to do it, let us do it, and then if not, we're taking the legal. We had the legal in the paper the last couple of days. I've been working with Kroger and the EPA the last couple of days. We're trying to get a solution to there. Kroger says they hired a licensed asbestos remediating company, so they think they've done everything they should do. So it's a question of why they're getting shut down. The car show is this Friday night. I invite everyone to come to our square. And the 30th annual Tornado Open is this Saturday. I invite everyone to the golf course for that. It's a wonderful event for our community. Committee reports, discussions and/or motions to approve, adopt, and/or deny, and/or table, and/or amend, and/or refer to an appropriate committee in whole or in part the matters regarding the following subject matter discussed at the committee level. Ordinance. Alderman Scotetti.
Thank you, Mayor. The only motion came out was a motion to recommend the city council to direct the city attorney to prepare an ordinance to amend the city code regarding pavement requirements as recommended by the city engineer. I'll make that form of motion.
Motion by Alderman Scotetti, second.
Second.
Alderman Bryant, questions or comments? All in favor?
I asked if someone could send me those written recommendations from Bill, so I'll know what to put in the ordinance. See, they were in the committee minutes, I didn't know what they were, the payment requirements.
I can email them.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Finance, Alderman Bud.
First motion, recommend the city council approve the contribution of $10,000 out of the administrative budget for the Veterans Memorial Park. This was actually in last year's budget, and so that we could take it out of this year's budget, so that we're on the right track with the funds. I'll make that in form of motion. And this is for the sign that's going up out front.
Motion by Alderman Bud, second. Alderman Dorsones, questions or comments? I have one comment, since this has to do with tourism, could we take it out of the hotel motel instead of?
There's not gonna be enough money in there because we're doing $10,000 for the playground equipment, and then everything else that we're doing, fireworks and that.
My only question. No problem. Roll call.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve
Yes.
Dorsones? Kathy Driscoll? Yes. Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Petty?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Motion carries 8-0.
Okay, the next motion, recommend the city council approve an MOU written by the Taylorville Professional Firefighters Local 3144, setting the wage progression of new hire firefighters as follows: 92% of their rate of their pay from the date of hire to the first anniversary of employment, 96% of their full rate of pay for the second year of employment, and 100% rate of pay upon the completion of the second year of employment. Put that in form of motion with a comment.
Motion by Alderman Bud, second. Alderman Dorsones, comment, Alderman Bud.
Today I went in and seen Mindy, and I've got the cost analysis for this. Now you have to understand, this does not include any overtime if they were to work overtime, because you don't know that number. But for the total cost for the three of them would be $19,392.82. And what I will say is that was not put in the budget that I know of.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll call. And I did come up with this salary going into effect August 8th will be the first pay period. Starts after tonight, so it'll go into effect next pay period, because right now we're in the middle of the pay period. So, and I think the firefighters have agreed, and they also, which the council doesn't need to vote on the MOU, they're gonna go with the insurance, gonna be taken out 24 pays.
Yes, sir.
And the police department have agreed to that MOU also, and so that'll make it a lot easier. Everyone will be, their insurance will be taken out on 24 pays. So, roll call.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes?
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Petty?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Public facilities, Alderman Olive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only motion come out of public facilities, motion to recommend to the city council to approve the appraisal and survey of the parking lot located at 114 East Main Cross, and this will be with an approved MAI appraiser. Did I get that right, Rocky?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, right.
Like put that in
Or
form of
Illinois
motion.
certified.
Motion by Alderman Olive, second.
Licensed
Second.
appraiser.
Alderman Bryant, comments or questions? I have a comment. I talked to Tammy Scott, the owner of RLK, doing business as 116 Pub. I told her the estimated price that a friend of mine who's an appraiser, used to be a commercial appraiser, gave me of $20,000 to $25,000, and she said she would not go for that. So maybe this is a moot point if they're not gonna continue that, so maybe we don't need to get the appraisal and the survey, but if you think we should, we could have some interest, with other people if we get it appraised, so that's up to you, but I wanted to tell you that the people that brought this to my attention about possibly buying 25 by 140 foot of that parking lot, when I told them the price that was estimated of 20 to 25,000, they said no. So.
I don't think it would hurt to still do it.
Yeah, I think
Just still do it in case we have interest.
So.
So we'll go ahead and have, we're gonna have the whole lot,
Yes.
surveyed and
I
appraised.
think we should get it surveyed and appraised in case we have anybody.
So presently, there is no need to have an appraisal for just 25 foot, we'll just do
Correct.
the whole thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay?
So does that, excuse me, does that,
see appraisal good for?
Pardon?
How long would the appraisal be good for?
Can I say something, Mayor?
No,
I
not
don't
yet.
know legally how long an appraisal is good for.
Well, that's what I was gonna point out, because under the ordinances, the state statutes, you can't sell for anything less than 80% of it, so you need a current appraiser if you're gonna sell it. So if you don't have anybody, if you have no desire to sell it right now, or nobody that's interested in it, I question whether or not you wanna go to the expense of an appraisal and a survey. Because if it's 6 months from now, you'll probably get that survey updated.
But how will we ever know how much to sell, if somebody said we wanna buy it, how would we ever even know to say, you know, like, this is how much we're gonna sell it for if we don't even have a guesstimate?
Well, if you wanna go ahead and get the appraisal, then it's 6 months from now, you can say, well, it was appraised, in August, 6 months ago for XYZ dollars. Is that gonna be in your ballpark? We'll have to get an updated appraisal and see what they say.
The parking lot,
Otherwise, you're
the
right.
parking
It's a
lot
good
on the
point.
corner
If-
of Market
if
and
there's
Webster,
some idea,
behind the
like with the
store on
Fairmount,
the west
if
side of the
somebody
square,
would say, give me
sold
a
for
ballpark
$50,000.
commercial, or be not yours.
You two talking over each other is killing me tonight. It doesn't never mind. It was gonna be a really bad statement, so.
So, do we do a motion to
I think
table
we
this
do.
until we get some interest in it, or do you wanna go forward? We had a motion and a second, so roll call.
Larry Bud,
Yes.
Steve Dorsones,
no,
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Jim Olive,
yes,
Chris Teddy,
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson,
yes,
Doug Brown,
Yes.
Megan Bryant,
Yes.
Motion carries, I think, 6-2,
7-1.
7-1, okay? Street and sewer, Alderman Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to recommend that the city council to authorize and direct the mayor to sign pay request number 4 to Truman L. Flats and Sons Company Incorporated in the amount of $356,703.80 for work on the East Main Cross improvements. This is conditioned upon receipt of signed mechanics lien waivers in this amount, certified payroll records, and recommendations by the project engineer that work has been satisfactorily performed. Make that in form of motion.
Motion by Alderman Wilson,
Second.
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 Alderman Driscoll, questions or comments? Roll call.
Steve Dorsones,
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll,
Yes.
Jim Olive,
yes,
Chris Teddy.
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson.
Yes.
Doug Brown, Megan Bryant,
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve and/or ratify payment of bills of $509,396.81. Motion by Alderman Bud, second.
Second.
Alderman Bryant, comment. Alderman Bud.
Health insurance, $122,839.68. On my public risk for September, $17,314. Electric, $3,538.37. Garbage, $4,675.81. Urban, Farm and Home, Taylorville Feed, Walmart, U.S. Bank, $3,840.29. Tyler Technologies for an annual fee, $3,180.71. Paul Torper, $2,799.53. Meyer Oscar Vermont, $7,472.91. Star Electric, $9,301.15. United Capital Funding, which is the temporary help out at Cemetery and Lake, $3,104.64. BDD Battery Specialist, $35,538. Fire Department, City of Charleston for ambulance building, $1,400. Max Fire and Safety for turnout gear, $4,800. Street Department Bluebell Garage, $1,653.62. CCI for the concrete, $5,331.38. Ricky Peters, $10,505.60. Sewer Department, Stevens Concrete, $1,765. Water Department, Rush Truck Centers for the new tandem, which is 2023, $151,551.90. Pinnacle, $31,796.92. North Central Labs for probes and modules, $4,414.35. Bonaventure Engineering for lab supplies, $3,070.39. Merrick Industries for sensor, $1,928.07. Interstate Hydraulics, $1,015. Airport fuel, $49,695.91. Lake Department for CCFS for propane, $5,762.50. And total dues go to $488,805.73.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Kathy Driscoll? Yes. Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Bryant?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve
Yes.
Christian.
Motion carries 8-0. Per subparagraph G of 5 ILCS 120/2.06, this portion of the city council meeting is reserved for any person wishing to address the council on any relevant subject matters concerning the city. The Illinois Open Meeting Act 5 ILCS 120/1 mandates no action shall be taken on subject matters not listed on the agenda, but the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the subject matter to a future council and/or committee meeting. If anyone wishes to address the council, please provide your name and address, limit your comments or presentation to 3 minutes, and avoid repetitious comment. Anyone out there like to speak to the council? Alderman Bud?
I've got one thing to say, either tomorrow or Wednesday, we'll have the 2 new tandems for the street department.
Alderman Driscoll?
I just want to remind everybody to go out to the National Night Out tomorrow night. It is from 5 to 8. Dunk your favorite law enforcement officer if you'd like for a small fee. They put a lot of work into this. Everybody should go out there and enjoy it with their families at the fairgrounds.
Anyone else like to speak?
No, it's too hot.
Need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 to discuss the claims, demands, and settlement proposal of Andrea Conrad, former city human resource manager, in her probable or imminent litigation against the city that her attorney indicates in her July 2022 email sent to attorney Jamie Westbrook, and to include any and all subject matters related to said claims, demands, settlement proposal, or probable or imminent litigation, including but not limited to subject matters related to investigation, attorney-client reports, communications, consultant reports, discovery, settlement offers, Illinois Freedom of Information Act requests, status of case, offers, issues, attorney opinions, and recommendations, pre-trial and trial session, naming the mayor, alderman, city clerk, city treasurer, city attorney via Zoom, fire chief, attorney Jamie Westbrook via Zoom, and such other person or persons the mayor decide during the city council meeting and or during such closed session. Motion of any to be adopted regarding any and all subject matters relating to other motion to go into closed session and enter any more of all said subject matters discussed in open and or closed session.
Ooh.
Motion Alderman Sculpet, second.
Sure, second.
Alderman Driscoll, roll call.
Rocky, write that up? Pardon.
Yes, yes, I did.
Finally, we're
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Crystal Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson? Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve
Yes.
Christian, yes. Kathy Driscoll?
yeah.
All right, we're going to recess, and it is 7:43.
I'm gonna grab a water.
Can I have one too, please?
You can.
Oh, thank you.
Hey.
Message back?
About what?
That report.